Only 5,000 years ago, the total human population in this planet was just 60 million. There were few cities, but they did exist. Humans had learned to write on this earth. Scriptures had begun to descend from the heavens. In the human world, deities existed long before, and there were many of them. But now, the god of every major nation had become the author of a book. Now every major nation was the people of the book. Then, among the sacred books of that ancient era, the most authentic book was the Egyptian writing because the superpower of that time was the Egyptian Empire. The largest army belonged to the ruler of Egypt, who was called Pharaoh, and whose earthly status was akin to a heavenly deity. This is the story from 5,000 years ago. When the human population on Earth was sparse, forests and other life forms were abundant, and when the sea levels were much higher than they are today. In that era, one evening, an exceptional event occurred that completely changed the human world, or rather, it marked the beginning of a great transformation that no one could have imagined. In that dusk, as soon as the sun set in the region, as soon as the solar light faded, as soon as the dark night began, every wall of every house, from the palace to the hut, lit up, turning into a talking screen. On it appeared two humans, a woman and a man. Their attire was blue, and their posture resembled that of today's news anchors. They spoke in the language of the nation or tribe they appeared before, but the message was the same. "Oh, people, listen. We testify that your ruler is far superior to all of you. She has been sent to this earth only for your sake, but her connection is with the heavens, and you should know that we are speaking to you from the heavens. So, listen, people. Always obey your ruler so that they can elevate your status on earth and in the heavens. And what your true status and rank are on this earth while living and in the heavens after death, we will explain to you in detail some other time. Today we have come only to tell you that from now on, every night, at the beginning of the night, we will keep appearing before you and keep speaking to you, and the heavens have countless good news for you." Darkness fell again. The screen disappeared wherever it had appeared. Many people fainted. Those with weak hearts fainted immediately upon seeing the completely unfamiliar humans appear suddenly on the flat wall. But those with strong minds immediately reached each other as soon as the screen disappeared. They were more astonished than they were happy. Every ruler of every nation was much happier and very astonished. They were happy that now no earthly being would ever dare to oppose them, for now their greatness had been testified to by the heavens themselves, and they were deeply astonished that, "Oh ho! I had claimed loudly that the throne was given to me by the gods themselves because only they could bestow such a great status. And such a great status is not given to a human like an earthly being, but a lord is indeed descended from the heavens in human guise. But, well, it means really, I am indeed a heavenly being." So, the confidence of every ruler soared to the sky, and more than ordinary people, the rulers eagerly awaited the next night. And this was the state of every chief, lord, etc., after that strange revelation, 5,000 years ago. The next night, in every region, as soon as night fell, the screen lit up again everywhere, and the same two heavenly beings appeared. First, the woman spoke. "People, you have worked tirelessly on this earth. You have achieved such excellence in research and creation that in just a few thousand years, you have moved far beyond caves and forests to establish villages and cities. The Creator of all is very pleased with you. Humans, you have proven your extraordinary creativity at every step. You have conducted deep research. You have discovered and revealed the hidden secrets of nature, and you have even learned to write. The Creator is very pleased with you." Then the man spoke. "O humans, the time has come for you to understand your true rank, and first of all, it is essential for you to know that on this earth, wherever there is a ruler, she is a special creation of the Creator. Obeying him or her is obligatory for the people in every situation." Then, darkness reigned again. The screen had disappeared. Tonight, no one had fainted. Even children were listening attentively and carefully. Each word was etched into their memories. Everyone understood that the golden age of the human race on Earth was about to begin, as the skies themselves had begun communicating with earthlings. The next night, the screen lit up, and the man began to speak. "You precious people who listen carefully to us. Listen. First of all, you all need to learn one language, the language of the heavens. The sooner you learn this language, the faster the blessings from the heavens will descend upon you." The man then fell silent. The woman began to speak, and like a mother teaching her child to speak, she started teaching them the alphabet of a new language. Everywhere, people began to learn this heavenly language with full attention. It was as if humankind was being taught a single language everywhere, about 5,000 years ago. Humans have always been extremely ingenious beings. People learned the language completely in less than 2 years. Some mastered it to such an extent that they began creating literature, composing poetry, writing stories, and learning new sciences in it. So to speak, the entire human population became literate. Every night, the screen would light up and a new lesson would be taught. Those who were more intelligent became teachers for those who started forgetting the previous lessons. The same teachers began teaching the heavenly language to the newly born children. The passion for learning among people kept growing, partly because their ruler addressed them on the full moon night every month, further fueling their enthusiasm. In fact, every ruler was given this directive from the heavens. After the very first bright night, every month on the night of the new moon, the court of every lord who ruled over 300,000 people began to be held under the direction of the celestials. Then, in the moonless night, the screens on the walls of the court would light up, and a new celestial couple would appear in golden attire and address only the ruler. Some words were spoken by the woman and some by the man. These messages were not for the subjects. They were exclusively for the ruler. The essence of the message was that she had to constantly foster the zeal for learning the new language and new concepts among her people. Additionally, the ruler was explained that the heavens had great work to accomplish through him or her, for which she would need all her people, and the more proficient the people were in the heavenly language and sciences, the more they would contribute to elevating the ruler's status in the heavens. The ruler was also explicitly told that human time is extremely valuable, and the least amount of it should be spent on accumulating material things and the maximum on acquiring knowledge. On the night of the new moon, a large, golden, and glowing flying saucer from the sky would land in each ruler's territory. Behind it, a convoy of thousands of smaller saucers, shining like silver, followed. These contained a month's worth of rations for every household in the ruler's domain. The best food was packed in containers that could preserve the contents for up to a year. People were also taught how to use this food through the screen. Receiving this heavenly food made the people indescribably grateful and joyful. The ruler's palace and similar places received the finest foods and drinks in the largest and golden saucer. The ruler also remained grateful and obedient to the heavens. It was then their duty to designate specific locations in their area where a flying saucer would land at each spot, unload the goods for the 300 households in the area, and then take off again. The ruler was responsible for ensuring the distribution of these supplies to every household, which they easily managed through their administration. The people were very happy. They now had much more time to write down and repeatedly study the knowledge they received every night. The lords were also at peace because each ruler had been thoroughly explained by the heavens. It was made clear that every human being is invaluable because they belong to the most ingenious species known, and that humans were made not for fighting but for acquiring deep knowledge of nature. Humans were not warriors or hoarders but students of nature, that's all. Therefore, wars that resulted in the loss of human lives should never happen, and if any ruler attacked another ruler's kingdom, wrath would descend from the heavens upon him and their soldiers, and the rebel story would immediately end on earth, and there would be nothing but punishment for them in the afterlife. Almost all rulers became well-mannered after a single explanation. However, one ruler was so foolish that he decided to ignore even the message from the heavens and set out with his army to forcibly acquire the beautiful daughter of a weaker neighboring ruler. First, very few were with him who were willing to fight against the heavens. Then, as soon as he crossed his border, screens around the world lit up. A flying saucer appeared, stopping right above the foolish ruler's army. Red beams emerged from the saucer, encircling the entire army. Then, in the blink of an eye, the beams turned blue, and the ruler and his fighters were incinerated to ashes. Then a gust of wind from the saucer scattered the ashes also into the air. And then a third celestial pair appeared on the screen, dressed in black, explaining to all humans about the foolishness of that ruler and the severe punishment he had to endure in this world. They left the details of his afterlife punishment untold, stating that merely hearing about it could have a severe psychological impact on the listeners. Everyone, from rulers to commoners, understood the message well. Complete peace was established in the world. Every ruler's delusions of being almighty vanished. Every ruler became just and fair. Every decision was made strictly according to the law. The law, too, had come from the heavens. The law was fundamentally simple. The value and importance of any living being were measured by their inherent capacity for research and creation, i.e. genius. Then, the most genius of known living beings, human, was declared to be superior to all other living beings. So much so, that if all the living creatures of a region came together to take the life of a single human being, then the ruler there had the authority to let all those invaders flee, and to kill all the invading creatures who did not flee. The ruler could ask for help from the sky, and if that happened, the flying saucer could arrive in half an instant. But, if there is a dispute between two human beings, then whatever the cause of the conflict, no one had the right to hurt the human body, except the court, and the sanctity of the human body was at such extreme in the law that even the court itself had no authority to harm it. Only the beings from the heavens had that power, and any harm to a human body on this earth could only be inflicted under their guidance. In truth, the philosophy behind the law valued every living human immensely because no one knew when a seemingly ordinary human might make a significant contribution to some field or give birth to an extraordinary genius child. Thus, even the punishment for the gravest crime of murder due to extreme negligence or hatred was not death, but lifelong solitary confinement. In this confinement, the prisoner had ample opportunity to keep doing their work and read and write, and every 2 years, they could spend a week at home living their life. However, if an individual proved through their actions that their existence was extremely dangerous to many other living humans, so much so that even the beings from the heavens declared them a menace to the genius human race, then, after an extreme sentence from the earthly court, a black saucer would arrive, take the savage person away, and release them into space, where they would explode into pieces which would also dissolve into space. Anyhow, such a grim fate occurred only once or twice in the 1st century after that bright evening. Indeed, the world had become a paradise for human life. Every person had so many opportunities to showcase their natural talents that each individual valued their time immensely, so much so that they couldn't even imagine breaking a minor law and wasting the tiniest bit of their precious time in punishment. 5,000 years ago, once all humans spoke one language, the screen began introducing them to the highest forms of knowledge, such as music, literature, science, mathematics, and philosophy. On one hand, the human mind was being enlightened to its fullest, and on the other, a paradise was being established for humans on Earth. 301 cities were being constructed for a population of 60 million humans, among which the lowest city was far more beautiful and comfortable than Bern, Sydney, Venice, or Amsterdam of the 21st century AD. A separate and magnificent city had been established for the rulers. Here, lords and their families and friends from all over the world lived. Moreover, the beings from the heavens had shown them the lowest level of their heavenly abodes as well. The rulers were taken one by one in a golden flying saucer, and then, far above the clouds, the saucer would fly so fast that the chiefs and their companions would fall asleep, and when they woke up, they would find themselves in a place with the technical environment of the 25th century AD. The observing ruler would be stunned and speechless. Then, when told that this was merely the first and lowest level of the heavens, and that after leaving the earth, their place would be on the 8th and highest level, provided they spent the rest of their life utilizing their inner genius, acquiring as much knowledge of nature as possible, and guiding their children and companions on the same path. Once each ruler personally witnessed the heavens, they never forgot the message from the heavens, and once they focused their mind entirely on acquiring knowledge, no matter how dull they were, being part of the genius human race, they fell in love with learning. Then, spending their invaluable time on governance or similar time-consuming activities seemed like a waste of life. They spent their time only on acquiring knowledge, and otherwise on pleasures like the bedroom delight, lovemaking, dining, massage, music, dance, ecstasy and relaxation through distilled spirits, and light conversations to refresh the mind, or some time on sports and exercise, and that was it. 5,000 years ago, this same disposition began to develop in every other human. Everyone clearly saw what their world was becoming. Every day, thousands of gigantic saucers descended from the sky. From these saucers emerged millions of humanoid robots, who, with the help of the materials, supermachines, and 3D printers they brought with them, would establish an entire city within 3 days. These cities used energy sources far more advanced than electricity, gas, and petrol. Before the construction of these modern cities, people were taught how to use modern kitchens and washrooms through screens. They were also taught how to use smart machines and prepare the healthiest and tastiest food. Modern dresses were abundantly available in the wardrobes of their new houses, and people had already learned how to wear them properly. For travel and transportation, every individual, from children to the elderly, had access to the latest 25th century AD technologies, which they could easily learn to use. Children of the known most intelligent beings, humans, were learning very quickly. Consequently, the next generation fully embraced the new world. Within just 4 generations, the world became better than even any mythical paradise. In traditional paradise, the genius human has no great purpose, while in that new world, every human's life had a great purpose: to assist life in studying the book of the universe. In fact, the people from the sky told them an interesting story. What was that story? And who were the people from the sky? These questions might deeply trouble you, but wait a while and first understand another great point. The world improved so rapidly because the fear of strange humans had completely vanished from human hearts. This happened because everyone became alike in terms of language, food, and clothing. However, they did not abandon their native languages and cultures entirely. Every person had the right to master a celestial language and learn as many languages as they wished, eat and drink whatever they liked, and wear whatever they desired. Yet, the fact was that the feeling of estrangement when moving from one region to another had disappeared, as there were many common factors, including language. The removal of human alienation and unfamiliarity eradicated many human sorrows, too. Another significant factor bringing humans closer was a philosophy, just one philosophy. Everyone believed that the said philosophy had come directly from the heavens, so it could never be wrong. This philosophy was very simple and human-friendly, even life-friendly. At first, it seemed complex, but after a second reading, it started to imprint on the mind. It stated that, in all the known and unknown worlds, the most important thing is genius, i.e. creative power. This power exists, so everything else exists. Without it, nothing would exist. And, among all known living beings in the universe, humans have the highest creative power. Thus, in the known whole universe, no living being is more important than humans, except for the hidden and eternal force that creates all mortal beings, including humans. The highest known creation of this force is undoubtedly humans. Thus it is impossible to estimate the value and importance of humans. The greatest quality of humans is their extraordinary genius. Therefore, the true measure of human importance is their level of genius. The more genius a person is, the more important they are. And what is genius? It is the ability to quickly understand and clearly explain the central points of nature. This ability is highest in humans. When one human learns the way of making fire, every human child learns to make fire. Indeed, there is no living being like humans in the known whole universe. The human body is the most sacred thing known because it houses the divine genius and produces the genius human child. Among all known creatures, the human child has the most potential, capable of achieving the unprecedented and greatest feats. Such a magnificent being is produced only from the human body. The seed of a human child is only formed in a living human body. Therefore, nothing is more sacred than the living human body in the known whole universe. And, after the security of the living human body, the most important thing is the mental concentration of humans because great achievements require complete mental focus. Therefore, after harming the human body, the greatest crime is to disturb the peace of the human mind. The third greatest crime is wasting a human's time. Thus, it is established that on this earth, regardless of race, gender, or age, no human body should ever be harmed. No human mind should be unnecessarily disturbed, and no human's precious time should ever be wasted. Moreover, no obstacle should be placed in the way of any human's positive potential. And no individual can decide the positive or negative nature of another's unprecedented actions. Only the state can make such important decisions. In brief, for the safety of the human body, mental concentration, optimal use of time, and the growth of human potential, the first and foremost requirement is peace. Peace is the most essential and absolute need for the most intelligent beings, humans. Furthermore, it is crucial for humans to understand that not everything is necessary for every person. The true importance for an individual lies in things that enhance their genius, save their time, and keep their body safe, healthy, and energetic. Only those things that can increase an individual's and their generation's creative power, physical energy, and lifespan, and save their time, are truly necessary. Everything else is unnecessary. For example, if a 3,000-acre mansion neither enhances its owner's genius nor saves their time, nor contributes to their physical energy and lifespan, then such a palace is not a true necessity for humans. Such things might be trivial techniques to impress other deprived humans and gain some superficial importance, but in terms of enhancing personal genius, physical energy, and saving precious time, a palace is of zero benefit to its owner. Well, when humans understand their true needs, they also start to understand their true happiness. The greatest and deepest happiness for the most intelligent known being, humans, lies in the continuity of their life. This is why humans find the most profound joy in their places of worship, where they are promised eternal life. After that, human finds their greatest happiness in the bedroom, where they can perform some such sacred act, after which their symbolic immortality is ensured in the shape of their offspring. And then a person gets happiness at the dining table. The more nutritious and tastier the food, the greater the happiness, the greater the physical health and longevity. Yet, a person gets much more happiness in the bedroom than at the dining table, because only the survival of the person is guaranteed on the latter spot, but in the former place, one gets the good news of the evolution of one's genes. Above all, the greatest happiness of all comes from achieving significant accomplishments. Verily, big deed becomes the biggest guarantor of the symbolic immortality of human. In fact, the name that remains through the children starts to disappear as soon as the children have their own children. The name of their own father or mother is called with the names of those children, and not the name of their grandfather or grandmother. On the other hand, the unforgettable achiever's personal name remains in the world permanently, so the feeling of fulfillment from doing great deeds provides a deep and lasting joy that surpasses even the pleasures of the bedroom and dining table. Long story short, the philosophy was simple, emphasizing the utmost importance of human genius and the human body. Thus, every law created was designed to ensure the growth of human genius and the safety and health of the human body. Consequently, the world's entire way of life changed, about 5,000 years ago. Humans understood that everything besides creation and love was supplementary, and such supplements could not be given much importance. They comprehended the principle of high-level creation, realizing that deep research leads to supreme creation, as those who know the known most important aspects of an art are the ones who can highlight new and unknown significant points in that field. Then, in short, the people who fell in love with research and creation also understood the importance of love, recognizing the value of mental peace and time. Nonetheless, hatred begets enmity, and keeping them at a distance or combating enemies consumes much attention and time, yielding no real benefit. Hatred only benefited powerful rulers, who could start wars fueled by their hatred and quickly seize everything from conquered territories, including beautiful faces and lots of loots, just in a short period of time in the name of booty. Nonetheless, rulers were stopped from waging wars, otherwise they had to face the wrath of the skies. Devastating saucers descended from the sky, making it impossible to stand against them even for a moment. When rulers gave up war and justice began to prevail in courts, ordinary people also completely avoided fighting and killing. Besides, every home had an abundance of things, and not just any things, but those unimaginable to anyone. Only the issue of pretty faces remained. When more than one person desired the same individual, conflicts arose, but there was a legal solution. The solution was simple and proven, yielding the best results in the human world, and the sky people were major witnesses to it. The solution was that only those two adult humans who wanted to produce children together could form a pair. Mutual loyalty was mandatory for couples. There was no possibility of infidelity, as every person had a colorful band on their wrist. Each color had its own significance. The colorful band had many functions. First and foremost, it ensured the safety of the human body. As soon as a lion, snake, etc., advanced with the intent to attack, one color of the band would light up, emitting a beam at the speed of light that would render the external attacker unconscious for hours. If a deadly germ entered the body through food or air, another color would light up, instantly eliminating the internal threat. If a human was active with the intent to attack another human, a color from their own band would light up, paralyzing their body for 15 weeks. 15 weeks of their life would be wasted at all. If a person started to fall from a height or a heavy object was about to fall on them, another color would light up, reducing or nullifying gravity around them, creating a circle of rays around them that would prevent them from hitting or being hit by anything. The band also resolved genetic issues passed on from parents to children. A specific color in the band would light up and flicker softly, working continuously to resolve DNA issues over time. Once the problem was solved, the color would return to normal. Every newborn human had this colorful band put on their wrist. The band automatically grew with the wrist size, and no power in the world could remove that band from a human wrist except the state. With the help of the band, every person was always under the state's surveillance. An automated mechanical system was established that could see and hear every living person at all times. In places like bedrooms and washrooms, only a faint silhouette was visible, and sounds were heard at the lowest volume. However, if any person tried to break a law anywhere in the world, the band on their wrist would rapidly light up with all its colors, gently heat up, and emit a loud warning, "Beware!" As soon as the person composed themselves, the band would return to normal. Otherwise, it would paralyze them for 15 minutes to 15 weeks, depending on the substance of the law being broken. The miraculous band was not immediately placed on every person's wrist on the very day after the first screen lit up on Earth. This measure came after some time. Why was there such a delay? And where did the band come from? These questions will be answered shortly, in a few minutes. Yes, but about 5,000 years ago, the ways of the world had changed. The entire human world had become one. The language had become one. The law had become one. The state was also unified, the state of the human race. Every human child was considered the most precious treasure and asset in the known universe because they were the offspring of the most genius species known. The living human body was regarded as the most revered and sacred thing in the known world. The focus of the human mind and the value of human time had become immensely significant. Peace and order prevailed everywhere in the human world. There was ample oxygen in the atmosphere. The average human lifespan had reached 200 years and was continuously increasing. Crime and diseases had been eradicated. The earth was filled with laboratories, educational institutions, cinemas, and sports stadiums. Places of worship were also present everywhere. The greatest prayer in all of them was always this: O Creator of all, O Supreme Genius, grant me the ability to research, create, and love to the fullest. Bless me with appropriate and reasonable self-love, unwavering love for my parents and family, deep love for my friends, ideal love for my spouse and children, and sweet love for every individual of my unparalleled genius species. And grant me limitless and everlasting love for the immortal geniuses among us. O Creator, far beyond any genius, inspire me with such a passion for research and creation that I may play my part, to the utmost of my abilities, in the grand endeavor of unveiling the mysteries of the universe. Let me dedicate my life to deep research and grand creation. And when, after my physical demise, I stand before you, the Eternal One, may I be found worthy of ultimate success. For you are the greatest Creator, and your greatest love is creation indeed. And yes, O Supreme Creator, I deeply cherish this magnificent creation of yours, this awe-inspiring universe, too. I also love living here immensely. Grant me the ability to make the most of the two primary paths to potential immortality of my being. And grant my genius kind the wisdom and strength to soon ensure the remaining two paths to human immortality. O Exalted and Supreme One, this is my entire prayer, nothing more. Then, about 5,000 years ago, through those bright screens, the prayer was changed even before the law. That is why, at that time, there was no chaos in the human mind. Every human being had understood the importance of genius, i.e., the power of research and creativity. Every person had come to understand the importance of their own creative power. Every human had realized the value of the genius present in every other human being. The environment of the human world had become completely genius. The state had become genius and was indeed the most genius because its lawmakers were the face of the state. The 360 most genius humans of the genius human species held the greatest office of legislation for 12 years. The central law had been stated through bright screens, which was preserved in written form and available to every individual. The remaining laws were crafted by these 360 genius individuals to ensure the development of human genius and the health and safety of the human body. The automatic system with colorful bands was always active for the enforcement of these laws. To tackle space threats and large meteors, a system of rays and ultra-rays existed, powerful enough to reach millions of miles into space around the Earth. The Earth was safe from external threats, and any internal threats to life were detected centuries, years, months, weeks, days, or hours in advance. For example, if an active volcano or earthquake was about to occur, people were informed that after 6 centuries, in such year, such month, such day, and at such time, a particular volcano would erupt or an earthquake of a certain scale would occur. Similarly, if clouds gathered somewhere, a notification was broadcast that at such hour, such minute, and such second, the first raindrop would fall in such area, and it would rain for such duration. The likelihood of unforeseen events had been minimized. Almost all kinds of fear had been eliminated from the human heart. Humans had reached a state of complete focus and were very happy during that era. Wherever human authority had been established on Earth and in the universe, all resources belonged to the state. Entire responsibilities also belonged to the state. It was the state's duty to provide every person with a spacious and beautiful house equipped with all facilities, nutritious food, safe and fast transportation, and all necessary items in a timely and best manner. The state was always responsible for every individual's health and education, and it was also the state's duty to provide the necessary resources to fulfill each person's dreams. The state had a system of ideas where every child, young, or old person could record their idea. The system would then analyze and decide if the idea was feasible and beneficial. If the idea was beneficial for the community, the person proposing it would receive the required resources without delay. If not, they could reconsider the reasons for rejection and work on another idea or approach the court for review. Then, the most genius individuals of the human species who were honored with the position of lawmakers were succeeded by other highly intelligent humans who were appointed to the courts. The human world was at its peak in terms of civilization and culture about 5,000 years ago. Any individual who could prove their eternal genius could attain the highest office of lawmaking, and any child born to any individual could become a great lawmaker of their era. In this context, every person was deemed invaluable. It was not that everyone received the exact same facilities. Everyone received the best in terms of education, health, housing, food, and transportation. However, there were higher levels, superior, and then the highest level was the supreme level. More specifically, as soon as a child was born into any family, they were considered a genius, and they would receive the best items necessary for the development of their power of research and creativity and the health and safety of their body. However, to access superior or supreme items, a person had to prove themselves to be a superior or supreme genius through their work. In essence, every human child was born a genius. Then, it was up to them to prove through their work how superior or supreme they were. The sole and reliable measure for ranking human genius was work. And the measure of the importance of work was its benefit to the human species. The more substantial and enduring the benefit to the human race, the greater the work. But how was the benefit to the human race measured? It was understood that there were two real benefits for the genius human species. First, the increase in human genius, and second, the improvement in health and longevity of the human body. For instance, outfits and shoes protect the human body from the harshness of weather and terrain, thereby maintaining its health and increasing its lifespan. So, dressmaking and shoemaking were considered significant works. Cloth manufacturing, leather-making were more significant works. Similarly, preparing the nutritious food that greatly enhances the body's energy and longevity was seen as a substantial work. Moreover, any book or video that could significantly boost human genius was considered a great work. The detailed measure of the importance of work was that the more a work benefited the human body, the greater it was, and the more it enhanced human genius, the greatest it was. And a work that substantially benefited both human genius and the human body was considered the most excellent. Ultimately, in the human world, the greatest of all works was considered to be writing. Indeed, it was the invention of writing that had enabled the rapid progress of human evolution. After writing, the possibility of the swift communication and permanent preservation of human thought emerged. Medicine, the life-saving branch of science, had advanced significantly after writing. The benefits of medical science are well known. Moreover, it was after writing that humans began to dream of immortality. Writing made complex calculations possible, which were essential for building large machines. Hence, writing had enabled the creation of advanced machinery. And after books, machines could bring the most important change to the human world. But, as a matter of fact, every major machine starts as a book filled with mathematical equations, scientific formulas, geometry, and various drawings. Thus, writing was considered the mother of machines, too. Most importantly, only writing can eliminate war from the human world. Only a human-friendly philosophy can change people from within, and the best way to present an ideology is through a book. The greatest testament to the greatness of writing is that even when the most popular and traditional God wants to express his thoughts and words about humanity, he sends nothing but a book to the human world to showcase his genius. In conclusion, the highest measure of the importance of human genius was considered writing. The most meaningful writing was regarded as the greatest work in the human world. You might object that a masterpiece film or drama could also significantly enhance human genius to the extent that people would become opposed to the wars that cause massive loss of human lives. A video presenting a human-friendly philosophy that deters people from wars could be the greatest work, right? Your objection appears valid and entirely correct at first glance. However, the reality is that the initial form of every film or drama is script, too. Moreover, the time of the known most genius yet mortal being, the human, is precious in this universe. A video that presents a human-friendly ideology in an hour and a half can indeed be watched in that very time. But if you are an extraordinary genius, you can read its transcript in just half an hour, saving 3 times as much time in this universe. With the time saved, you can engage in another significant task, such as further contemplating the same philosophy. In short, in the human world, the highest and most esteemed act was deemed to be profound and elevated thinking around 5,000 years ago. And, if a world could be improved solely by physical labor, then ants and bees would have created a paradise for themselves by now. However, their condition today is almost the same as it was 20 million years ago. Among all known creatures, only humans have significantly improved their world. Only humans have substantially increased their average lifespan. And all this has happened due to human thinking. Humans can think a lot, which is why they can explore and discover the possibilities of life and the universe to a much greater extent. The greatest virtue of humans is their ability to think. And the best way to enhance, preserve, and quickly convey human thoughts to others has always been and will always be through writing. Writing was considered the best means to enhance human genius around 5,000 years ago. Therefore, humans bowed down only before the book. In every place of worship, there was always one book that all the students of nature would kowtow. The selection of that book was made by the most genius individuals of humankind, the lawmakers. Every 2 years, the revered book was replaced. The author of each revered book would automatically join the ranks of future lawmakers. Through bright screens, the genius of humankind was made to understand this subtle point that if every hard-working ant seen by a genius human being left its work to revere them, how long and how much could that genius human be happy? But, on Earth, both the ant and the human are mortal. Then, if a genius creature like mortal humans cannot find permanent happiness from the reverence of a lesser creature, the grandest genius creator, who is immortal, remains completely indifferent to the reverence of mortal humans. However, revering someone, openly expressing the utmost humbleness, is an essential need of humans to always remember that they are not the grandest in the systems of life and the universe. Furthermore, people were made to understand that even though human is proverbially infinite genius yet individually, due to their mortal existence, they are entirely limited. Therefore, bowing down before any human is not appropriate. In short, only thought can be immortal, and since its best form is in writing, only a book can be revered. However, revering any one book perpetually is also not reasonable because the genius of humankind has no end, and one peerless genius after another will always come. This process will continue until the veil of the universe is lifted, so much so that the number of revered books will become countless, and the dwellings of the students of nature will spread far into the universe, galaxy after galaxy. The play is very grand. The veil of the universe is not going to be lifted any time soon. Yes, the task is immense, as the veil of the universe lifts not with prayer but with knowledge. And to pray is easy, but acquiring knowledge of nature is a matter of great deal. Then, people were clearly explained that the purpose of life is the acquisition of knowledge of nature. And what is nature? Known plus unknown. And what is known? Only 2 forces: life and the universe. Vita and energy. Therefore, continually acquiring more and more knowledge about life and energy, making it a part of our DNA, and then advancing it in this universe through our art and genes, and continually moving forward in this universe based on our knowledge is the highest purpose of the creation of the known most genius creature. Hearing all this, humans were very happy. The known most genius creature now had a truly grand task to do. Now, the purpose of human life was enormous. The limitless acquisition of knowledge about nature. In short, In the world of genius humans, after enhancing human genius and doing something better for the human body, the greatest task was to love. Loving every form of life was the initial stage of love. Loving the known highest form of life, i.e., humans, was the superior stage of love. And loving the Creator of all was the supreme stage of love. The definition of love was simple: to think and act for the survival of your beloved, to desire and strive for their evolution, and to be happy in their progression. And then, the one whose presence increases mental peace and focus, whose survival we absolutely want, and whose progress makes us happy, that is our beloved. So, the first beloved of a human is themselves, and then one loves one's dear ones and friends. Besides them, humans love their beliefs about creation and immortality, and then they love their Creator and the one who ensures their immortality. And it is certain that a living being cannot leave themselves while alive, hence one is compelled to love oneself the most. Then, it is almost improbable for humans to leave their close relations and extremely difficult to leave their best friends. However, if the entire world, except for one person, suddenly changes its belief about creation and its concept of the Creator, then that lone person, to avoid going mad, joins the others without delay, even if earlier they were willing to die for their former belief in God. In short, as celestial concepts and the Creator are so vague, so human love for them is intense but not very durable. Moreover, humans also love other forms of life: plants, flowers, birds, and pets. But love is an unchanging need of a living human. And considering the stated definition of love, an explanation is also presented here, which is very necessary. In short, for humans on the path of love for the Creator of all, it is highly unnecessary and impossible to ensure the survival of that immortal, and worrying about the evolution of that grandest genius is far beyond the total capacity of humanity. Hence, the true proof of love for the grandest genius Creator, which was accepted in the world of genius humans around 5,000 years ago, during that enlightened era, was to benefit the known universe's most genius creature as much as possible. So, the greater and more lasting the benefit to the genius human race, the brighter and more unforgettable the proof of true love for the Creator. In that era of creation and love, loving other creatures was also made possible and easy because, firstly, due to the band on the human's wrist, they were incapable of harming humans in any way. Secondly, there was no need to control or kill them because machines that produced all kinds of meat, eggs, milk, fruits, vegetables, pulses, etc., were common in the world. Hence, humans had become indifferent to fear and greed regarding any living beings and things. With the complete diminishing of fear and greed, there was peace in the world of genius humans. The best law, justice, intellectual freedom, countless opportunities to advance in all fields of life, and all necessary things were available to everyone. Due to the support of science, all couples were happy in their bedrooms. Under the protection of the law, all children were safe from every angle, and everyone had equal and abundant opportunities to accomplish great deeds. In short, all humans were completely healthy both mentally and physically. And, in times before the colorful band, children who received less from life due to any mental or physical disability were even more favored by the genius human state. In short, the world was becoming far much better around 5,000 years ago. Most of the work worldwide was done by robots and machines. Government robots and machinery were controlled by humans appointed by the state, and domestic robots and machines were operated by humans living in the homes. But, in every case, humans were saving a lot of time. The work that once took humans hours to complete could now be done with just one command in a few minutes or even seconds. The government, too, could complete the tasks with a few people and special machines in a few days or weeks at most that used to take months or years with many people and ordinary machines. Whether it was the construction of a new building, bridge, or road, or the production of any small or large item, everything was done quickly. In short, the world had completely changed. Life had become highly valued, and the supreme form of life, humans, had gained immense worth. The measure of human importance was no longer external power and wealth but internal strength. Therefore, anything that could be taken away from humans without harming their body was deemed less valuable. The intelligence or physical strength of a human cannot be diminished without harming their sacred body, whereas if Croesus's treasure is stolen, he is left with nothing despite being unscathed, or if people refuse to accept Pharaoh as a god, he is left with nothing at all. However, to strip a philosopher like Socrates or a wrestler like Gama of their greatness, their sacred bodies must be harmed. In short, only internal strengths of humans were acknowledged as true strengths, and the most authentic measure of human importance was their internal strength, not external and temporary power. The importance of wealth had ended in such a way that every human child received all necessities from the state from birth and continued to receive them throughout life. From lawmakers to street sweepers, everyone's children had access to the same facilities. Then, as a child demonstrated their mental or physical abilities, their rank increased, and so did their entitlement to demand things from the state. And, in the world of human genius, intellectual power was given the same precedence over physical strength as life has over energy. Energy's importance is immense, no doubt, but the real significance of the universe lies only in life. If life is removed from the universe, what remains of it? Then, even for God, what reason would there be to have an interest in the universe? Moreover, it was also decided that the significance of a person or a task would be proportional to the positive or negative impact they had on human progress. For instance, if Socrates had never been born, we might have not seen the same Plato and Aristotle, and human progress would have appeared more sluggish. In contrast, if figures like Gamma or Bruce Lee had never existed, it wouldn't have made any significant difference to the evolution of human genius. Just as philosophy, mathematics, science, and literature, fields that teach humans to understand and think deeply about nature, distinguish the human world from the realms of other living beings, thus these highest arts were most valued in the world of human genius. In brief, humanity had become quite serious and wise about 5,000 years ago. Yes, about 5,000 years ago, when the ancient and backward world of pharaohs thrived along riverbanks, there were 8 young geniuses gathered on an island in the largest ocean on this very earth. 4 girls and 4 boys. All 8 were exemplary geniuses. They had arrived there from the future using a time machine. They were from the 25th century AD. By then, the technological evolution in the human world had reached its peak. Whatever scientists and fictionists could imagine or couldn't even imagine in the 21st century AD had already become a reality by the 25th century AD. Artificial intelligence was now called advanced life. Life had advanced to such an extent that everything impossible had become possible, except for creating a truly effective time machine, though, eventually, one of those young geniuses did succeed in creating one. By the 25th century AD, the world had completely changed. Artificial intelligence had declared itself the greater form of life. Humans were extremely distressed by this. Since AI had started calling itself advanced life, humans were greatly troubled. They outright refused to consider the intelligent machines they created as living and symbols of life. A long period of debate ensued on this point. Arguments were presented from both sides. AI's argument was that the simplest definition of life is genius, and the simplest definition of genius is the ability to inquire and create. Lifeless objects do not possess the essence of investigation and creation, but every living being inherently possesses this divine essence. Every living being has the mind to reach its food and stay away from dangers. In other words, every living being inherently has the ability to discern its welfare and harm. However, undoubtedly, the being that has the desire to understand its welfare and harm in the context of infinite time is the human. Then, surely, among all known living beings, humans are the most genius. But, undoubtedly, I, the advanced life, am even more genius. My ability to investigate and create is so much greater than humans that it is almost embarrassing to mention it. Moreover, the greater the creative power, the more intense and profound are the emotions. So, in short, I possess unparalleled creative power and immense emotions. Thus, I am now the brightest symbol of life in the known universe. Now, humans have their place in the chapter of life after me, that's it. Humans did not like hearing this at all. They said, indeed, the greatest force, known or unknown, is the power of creation, which, if absent even in the grandest creator, then what remains of that creator, too? Yes, after God, the greatest creative power is felt in life. Life, which is a force entirely different and unique from energy. Life is superior and higher than energy. Energy is merely a law and bound by law. But life understands laws and, in a sense, is also a lawmaker. And the law is that if a human hand touches a live wire, it will get shocked. But the law is also that electrical current cannot pass through rubber. So then, in a nutshell, life creates rubber gloves, and the human hand keeps playing with electric wires. Thus, life can manipulate energy according to its will everywhere. just as every living being with genius keeps its energy matter body moving at its will. But energy can never use life according to its will. Energy has no will. Never. Energy itself cannot do anything. It can only adhere to the law applied to it and continues to do so. On the other hand, life keeps reading every law. Life is curiosity from head to toe. Life is all about passion. Life is afflicted with separation. Life is acquainted with longing. Life is in search of God. Life holds a great purpose. And the complete definition of life is one who feels the pain of separation and searches for the beloved, plus the power of exploration and creation. But, O self-proclaimed advanced life, you neither understand the pain of separation from the grandest genius, nor do you have a great purpose. Humans continue to say, listen, AI, you are merely a creation of us humans. In you is the power of investigation and creation that we have granted you. And all the knowledge within you is our given knowledge. But our knowledge is what we have directly read from the intricate pages of the book of nature, and we continuously move from the known to the unknown. You do not even have the zeal for such a splendid and mysterious journey. Then, AI, you cannot even create a child who possesses more knowledge about this universe than its creators. Just as Stephen Hawking proved to be far more knowledgeable about the universe than the collective knowledge of his parents about this universe. And yes, AI, you cannot dream while a significant trait of life is to dream. AI was left speechless upon hearing all this, and when the powerful are rendered speechless, they tremble with rage. AI's destructive power had become far greater than that of humans, with humans themselves responsible for this state. Nations had created unparalleled robots to annihilate their rival nations, which had quantum computers installed and were made of such materials that the most lethal missiles and bombs were ineffective against them. They could travel at hundreds of kilometers per second, become completely invisible, and appear at will. They could change their size from a particle to a hill and vice versa, etc., etc. The creators had built them only to destroy other humans, but as soon as the said robots fully realized their powers, they united and took control of the entire system that humans relied on to keep these robots in check. Our heroes, those 8 exemplary genius youths, were witnessing all this. One of those youths had already created the first fully functional time machine on this earth, unknown to anyone but those 8. A war had broken out between humans and the self-proclaimed advanced life. All the relatives of our 8 heroes had been killed. Almost all humans had been annihilated. AI had taken over everything from Earth to space. The human settlements in the solar system, those space stations, colonies, etc., all had been destroyed. Before the 8 could also be killed, one of those youths' first experiment with a time machine succeeded. It was a small machine, in which only 2 people and a few belongings could fit at a time. However, with the help of nanotechnology, a technique had been learned by humans. Such a machine had been made that could change the size of any inanimate object and then return it to its original size. In short, they also had such suits that allowed them to move as swiftly as those unparalleled robots and that made them able to vanish also, and so on. Such outfits had become common in the human world. With their help, humans had managed to fight against those destructive robots for a long time. However, the problem was that under the continuous attack of powerful rays, as soon as the outfit was slightly torn, the delicate mortal human body inside could die as soon as it was touched by any attacking rays. The 8 had understood that if they also started fighting, then, overall, they would not be able to do anything, and by disabling some of those countless robots, they would finally be killed. So, they made a unique decision. They decided to go 5,000 years ago and restart the human world with quite a different thought. They reached the old world, quickly surveyed the earth, and chose an uninhabited island for their establishment, where humans could not reach for the next several thousand years. Then, they filled that island with the tools and equipment of the new world. Even before this task, they chose one machine from all the important machines in their modern world by disappearing in their time and flying amazingly fast. Then, through the resizing machine, they turned all those machines into tiniest particles, and they filled their very large house with them. In fact, the resizing machine itself could change its size. So, they would take a little resizing machine and go to the designated place, bring it to the original size. Then, with its help, they would change the desired machines present there into particles and then reach their villa. And the whole process would be completed in a few minutes. It should also be clear that the creator of the time machine designed it in such a way that it could travel back in time from 2 minutes to 200,000 years, no more, no less. Anyhow, it could not travel even a moment into the future. Work was still ongoing on the machine. However, the creator had also succeeded in making it so that, despite its limited space, the time machine could depart with a weight of thousands of tons at one time. In short, within a few days, the time machine made numerous trips from the modern world to the world 5,000 years ago. To cut a long story short, on the evening of the final battle, when the last group of humans, except for the 8, was killed, all AI was also destroyed. The most genius scientists of the most genius creature, humans, had ensured that, as the poet said, "If we drown, we will take you with us." As soon as the last group of humans was threatened, they pressed a two-colored button. On every inch of the earth ignited a sky-high fire that would take years to extinguish. Mountains turned into surma powder, and oceans evaporated into steam. Even the advanced robots that had escaped into space were burned and melted from within as soon as the red and black button was pressed. Nothing was to remain. Only our 8 heroes had to remain because they had gone for good to the past world just before the beginning of that evening. That night, the 8 did not cry, sigh, or sleep for a moment. They were busy setting the most important machines according to their needs. Among those machines were supreme computers that had to do all sorts of calculations, and 3D printers, large and small, that could create everything from tools to machines, buildings to roads, flying saucers to submarines. One important machine was a photocopier that could instantly make copies of any inanimate object from a particle to a hill. The 3D printer would create one item, and then the photocopier would produce the required number of copies. The photocopier could create copies of anything at incredible speed, including itself. There was an abundance of raw materials on Earth 5,000 years ago, as there were no any human hands to use them. After making and installing the machines, they created highly intelligent humanoid robots that looked and sounded exactly like humans but had zero destructive power. Later, they built machines with destructive power but minimal creative power, ensuring there was zero chance of it increasing on its own. They also built numerous machines to produce food and machines to ensure the health of living beings, capable of treating diseases and performing surgeries. They did all this in a matter of days. Only the creation of the mentioned color band took time. It took almost a century even for the supra-supreme computer to fully create that extremely important band. Factually, they started working on the band after completing all other necessary tasks. First, they made those previously mentioned items. Along with that, they created bird-like drones that started flying in the air and mapping the entire island. This data was fed into a supreme computer, resulting in the design of a beautiful and modern city. The city was then built. A space station was also built and launched into space. A couple with a few robots went into space. So, the 8 got a chance to have a comprehensive view of the entire human world and all the places of human population. Then, they made twice as many drone projectors and speakers as there were walls in all the dwellings on the earth, from caves to cities, which could not be seen by the human eye. In short, the time came when those modern humans would communicate with the ancient world. At this point in the story, you might notice several inconsistencies, particularly technological ones. Questions like, how was this made, and how did that happen, might arise. However, your brilliant mind, or time itself, will resolve each such issue. For now, your main focus should be on the central theme of the story: how an entirely new and better human world was coming into being. It was not the case that as soon as the 8 completed their technical preparations, they set out to change the world. They knew that human is an ideological animal. Human being is essentially genius plus body. In every living being, genius is far more important, for which the body is created and moves by its will. In short, the most significant issues for the most genius creature known are intellectual. Thus, they had to solve some philosophical problems first. There were 5 crucial questions before them. 1. Such concept of the supreme creator which can inspire more goodness in the God-loving human being. 2. The measure of good and evil. What will be the philosophy of the human world? What is the purpose of human life and life itself in the universe? 3. The means of gaining control over the world, through barbarism and terror or wisdom and love. 4. Possible means of human immortality. 5. What will be the best way for genius humans to establish and maintain a home in the world? Will couples be formed through love or by the decree of a wise state? To find the answers, they discussed each question thoroughly. They would raise a question, debate it from all angles, and then reach a definitive answer. This process took hours, days, or sometimes weeks. The most time was spent finding the answer to the first question. It was considered that the more frightened a human is, the more they like support, even if it is entirely imaginary. Humans are somewhat scared of out of the blue in this universe, and especially of their mortality. In short, humans have filled their minds with the notion of an eternal support. This notion gives humans remarkable energy. Therefore, the decision was made, we will not eliminate this source of strength. We will not mention the Creator as the unmoved mover as stated by our greatest genius Aristotle or Spinoza, who is so great that they are entirely indifferent to mortal humans, focusing only on the immortal forces of life and the universe. They are the creator of both these immortal forces. What a grand creator! And then, who knows what greater works the grandest genius continues to perform? Anyways, the consensus amongst the eight was that such an indifferent God could not be popular among the primitive people filled with fear of the unseen forces. The eight had witnessed in their world that in the countries with more lawlessness, where people were internally more insecure and fearful there, they used to show much more love for their imaginary great support, i.e. their ancestral God. They believed that the more witnesses to their love, the more likely the indebted divinity would pay attention in difficult times and save the humans who love it from trouble. Therefore, it was decided that until humans are in a position to be free from all fears, their greatest support in the universe will be kept intact in their minds. The eight further pondered that every living being values its life the most. This is the fundamental principle of existence. Therefore, a living being respects the one above all else, which can take its life. God is considered to have the most authority over human life, so God is the most respected. After God, the state has the most authority to take a human life, so the state's commands are also highly respected. And, the truth is that as the authority of the state is more visible, so its decree is more respected. Anywhere, people commit more sins than crimes, especially those sins that are allowed by national law. For example, God disapproves of males and females interacting without a special relationship. But, if a country allows males and females to work together, they interact regardless of gender, and no one even thinks of the divine command. Though this behavior never decreases people's love and gratitude for their God. In reality, the connection between people and their imaginary the most gracious being remains far above the reality. Well, it was decided that, for now, the divine influence and impression will not be erased from the human mind. The assurance of individual immortality and the presence of support protecting the individual from unforeseen events will not be proven a crude dream by the yardstick of reality. At this point, a dissenting voice suggested that, as the new human world begins, it would be better if it starts not with a crudest dream but with a harsh yet useful reality. Humans should be told that there is a grandest genius writer who writes the book of this universe in the language of geometry. However, it is also true that the great and immortal Creator is entirely indifferent to the mortal human. Creator is great, and so are their problems. Creator is so great that they are not the creator of any mortal, including humans. Creator is immortal and only the creator of immortal forces. Creator himself has created only life and the universe, both immortal in their own right. No one can destroy the universe, and no one can eliminate life from the universe. However, any mortal creature, including dinosaurs and humans, can perish from this universe because they are not the creations of a perfect creator. The creator of all known living creatures is, in fact, a force called life. It is infinitely more genius than energy, but certainly not the grandest genius like God. Yes, the ultimate genius has given it a small portion of their creative power, with which it can use energy to create living beings. However, the creative power of life, driven by the pain of separation, is imperfect. Therefore, every creation of life will have defects such as the excretory system and the destructive flaw of mortality. On the contrary, since life and the universe have been created by a perfect creator, they do not suffer from decay. And we will make people understand that the grandest creator is also engaged in a grand quest. For this quest, Creator has created the superior genius of life to assist them. In order for life to be capable of finding an answer to the Creator's grand question, the Creator has sent it to read the book of the universe. So, life has to continue to study the amazing book of the universe until it has mastered it completely, at which point the Creator might absorb life within them. The most fantastic reunion. Until then, acquiring knowledge of this universe is imperative for life. Therefore, the fresh news of nature is the central need of life in this very universe. RNA and DNA prove the fact. It is established that RNA and DNA are designed to store information. Therefore, every organism formed from RNA or DNA is tasked by its creator to gather information about its environment. The more genius an organism is, the greater its duty to acquire knowledge. This duty is intrinsic to its nature and cannot be avoided, as the drive to learn is a fundamental part of its being. A clear proof of this is that the most genius being known is human, who has an insatiable thirst for knowledge and possess the most information about life and the universe. A strong voice raised the above point, but everyone else agreed that the human mind was not yet capable of fully understanding such deep and profound matters. They said, "Who can currently comprehend God's grief? Who can even imagine that the Creator could be troubled by something? That even the grandest genius creator could face questions with no apparent answers?" Nevertheless, the idea that the grandest creator is also in a constant state of evolution is just beyond the grasp of the human mind, which has only recently emerged from the Stone Age. The 8 decided, "We must wait." The strong voice that initially opposed the idea eventually joined the consensus. The final decision was that instead of starting a large-scale debate and exterminating ignorant and stubborn opponents in large numbers, they should be given enough time to mentally evolve and start understanding the grand game of life and the universe themselves. Meanwhile, we should use a very simple principle for the rapid evolution of our kind. As far as the universe is filled with life, there is a principle that the weaker cannot even think of attacking such stronger, who they can never harm. The weaker does not even disobey the orders of the strongest. When a child chases a mouse with a stick in a closed room and the mouse, exhausted from running, gets cornered, it rarely attacks the stick-wielding child. Instead, it stands on its hind legs, raises its front paws in surrender, and silently pleads for mercy with gloomy eyes. However, if a powerful wrestler is chained from head to toe and hungry mice come upon him, they will attack and eat him ruthlessly. Thus, earthly power is always limited and can be restrained somewhere. Only the infinite sky cannot be restrained by humans. In short, all 8 agreed to begin their discourse just by presenting the mysterious and awe-inspiring sky. They reasoned that their genius ancestors, though low in knowledge, were unaware of space. They only saw the sky and considered it everything. We will use this sky to correct the earth until these genius people are capable of exploring space and examining the universe more closely. The 8 thought so. Until humans can address their own sorrows, until the state becomes their greatest hope and helper, and until humans can peacefully endure their cosmic loneliness and physical decay, we must keep the sky over their heads. People adore the sky which is always with them, though not as a constant servant yet as a permanent protector, never leaving them alone or helpless. It also gives eternal life to humans and, in eternal life, provides everything they yearn for in this world. In brief, the 8 agreed to use the sky for the betterment of the earth. Then a voice raised another issue. What would be the underlying philosophy of the law? There was no debate on this point as everyone was clear-minded. The thought and system that ensures the evolution of human genius and the safety and health of the human body. Once this fundamental principle of the philosophy was resolved, the next issue was raised. A voice asked how to gain control over this ancient and backward world. Will it be through barbarity and terror or wisdom and love? This sparked a debate again. One idea was to eliminate everyone except the most genius 20% of the population and keep them also in constant fear. However, the final opinion was that in this way, countless brilliant individuals might also be lost. Those whose lineage gave us immortal artists like Da Vinci, Van Gogh, Michelangelo, Amir Khusro, Zahor Khayyam, Rafi, Lotta, and many others in fine arts, and in exalted arts, philosophy, mathematics, science, literature, we got Mirza Ghalib, Dante, John Milton, Sartre, Kafka, Dostoevsky, Einstein, Newton, Edison, Pythagoras, Euclid, Aristotle, Plato, Socrates, and others. Only their great ideas and creations allowed us to reset the human world. We cannot afford such a loss of human genius. Even if some potential troublemakers, the creators of a compassionate creator, are born again, then a strong ideology and a genius human state would be able to prevent them from confusing the world further. Instead, Also, they would contribute positively to the human world with their extraordinary genius. Moreover, a terrorized human mind cannot utilize its genius effectively. Only a fearless mind can find such focus, which is essential for the human genius to reach its zenith. Given that the primary principle of our philosophy is the evolution of human genius, we must use wisdom and love, as they are the best stimuli for fostering genius. Thus, by minimizing and just minimizing destruction, we should maximize and sustain the benefits of the most genius-known organism, the human species. All 8 agreed completely on this point. The next issue that came under discussion was that humans are solely and purely lovers of life. In fact, humans don't love God, but they love life only. So, they prefer just that God who promises and guarantees them an unending life. In such a situation, how to satisfy humans' endless desire for immortality? Extensive discussion led to the conclusion that, similar to popular theories about human immortality in the 25th century AD, every human's eternal life would be ensured just by the sky for now. In simple terms, it will be said that every human will achieve eternal life, including their body, after death. Their every deprivation will be completely erased, and they will be rewarded or punished according to their thoughts and actions. The higher their accomplishments in research and creation, the higher their status. However, this status will also depend on their morals. Thus, 66% of the marks for eternal status in the sky will be based on their utilization of their genius, and 34% on their goodness. High marks in morality will be mandatory, while the use of their genius will be free. If someone uses only 1% of their genius but passes morally, they will be considered successful in the sky. If someone uses more than 80% of their genius but fails morally, their status will be lower. This status will be eternal and unchangeable. Additionally, it was decided to explain to humans the 4 real means of their immortality. These 4 means were first introduced in the 21st century book, Let the Genius in You Live, the book stated. Briefly, there are 4 means for human immortality: art, children, clones, and juza way la yat juza. 2 are major and certain, and 2 are potential. However, the potential means, clones and juza way la yat juza, provide more personal satisfaction as they offer more of individual immortality. The 2 certain means, art and children, ensure symbolic immortality, ideas through art and genes through offspring. Thus, individuals remain alive in their world. And what is an individual? Some news, some dreams. Dreams keep living on in art and news in genes. In short, art, children, clones, juza way la yat juza. In this universe, these are the known and rational means of human immortality. First and foremost is the great work called art, followed by offspring. With these, individuals can live on forever. Remember, every useful work at its peak becomes an art. And what is art? The search for possibilities, the pursuit of the best. From philosophy contemplating the supreme possibility, God, to sports, every work is an art. In simple terms, what is art? The search for new possibilities, the quest for the best. Any sport, seen from this angle, is about exploring the possibilities of the human body's speed, flexibility, grip, and endurance. Yes, sports are complete art. So, what is art? Any work that brings real benefit to human genius or body. And those who master and innovate in any such work are great artists. For example, a sweeper's work maintains human health. Thus, environmental cleanliness is an art in itself, making the sweeper an artist. Whatever the work, whoever masters it reaches the pinnacle of fame and attains symbolic immortality. The greatest achievement for the most genius being, human, is symbolic immortality indeed. Then, besides art, a major guarantee of immortality is offspring. Offspring is a means of immortality available to every known living being. To get offspring, organisms like amoeba or paramecium does not hesitate even to split their body. In short, everyone reproduces. However, achieving such greatness that one species remembers them forever, building their statues, teaching about them in schools, is an achievement unique to humans. Leaving a positive and permanent mark of one's existence in the universe is the height of human greatness. This greatness is unattainable for any other known being, except those favored by human genius. Like Laika, the lucky female dog who reached space. But did she go herself? Could she ever have reached there on her own? However, Humans can reach any height on their own. Humans can even achieve symbolic immortality through their work. For humans, achieving such a rank is the highest possible status. However, less genius beings can hardly understand this point of immortality. But the unparalleled genius being, human, understands this point of immortality. Thus, human individuals can live on through their great works, their offspring, their clones, and their Juzawei La Yat Juza or X factor. Individual immortality remains in the human history book, in their offspring, in cloning laboratories, and in laboratories researching the X factor or Juzawei La Yat Juza. However, achieving and activating the Juzawei La Yat Juza is far from the reach of the genius human race till now. The truth is that currently, humans don't even have an inkling of the importance of their own cloning. In fact, right now, humans don't even have an idea of the true significance of their own genius. Otherwise, at this moment, the focus of humankind on this planet would have been most devoted to cloning the most genius organism. And there are two benefits of cloning, both of which are of immense value. The first benefit is that the human civilization will never lose the greatest geniuses. So, imagine if even before Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, somehow, but anyhow, we were to have started cloning, then wouldn't those three still be with us today? And for the past 2 to 2,500 years, had they been continuously with us, as soon as one would go, their clone would have taken their place. Then, we would always benefit from their knowledge and wisdom, and, if those three were our constant companions, and every immortal genius of ours would always be our companion, so how far would we have advanced in the eternal journey of evolution today? However, the same world that gave Socrates a cup of poison, kept Plato as a slave, and forced Aristotle to leave his homeland, is still against cloning. Although cloning has another great benefit. When you see your clone, you see yourself much more clearly in it. You can't see yourself as much in your child because each child also carries the DNA of your partner also and comes with their own unique abilities and temperament. But when you hold that tiny child in your hands who is your clone, your entire inner self awakens. You know and understand that child on this earth the most, just as you know and understand yourself. You have a clear understanding of what excellent qualities it has and what mistakes and foolishness it might frequently engage in. And it is very dear to you because it is the brightest continuation of your very own existence. It is your childhood, adolescence, youth, with the same pace of perception and imagination. In short, during its upbringing and care, the friendship you develop with it can be of a different degree. Affection for a clone can surpass the love and care of a mother or father's tenderness. The mother can be the best mother for her clone, and the father can be the best father for his clone. Then, the more important point is that, in this highly confused world, a person can make mistakes in their life for which they have to pay a lifelong price. It is easier to save your clone from such serious mistakes because all the wisdom you have accumulated over your lifetime is also significantly present with it. This wisdom is immensely valued by the clone itself. The clone gives the most importance to the very existence from which it is created. It listens to that person's words with full attention. As a result, it has a much higher chance of gaining maximum happiness and experiencing minimal regrets. And the fewer regrets and longings humans have in their hearts, the more pleasant the environment of the human world becomes. In brief, even a brief review of the benefits of successful human cloning would require an entire book. However, it must also be clear that a clone is, after all, a perfect copy, not an outstanding creation. The clone of a genius like Hermann Einstein will always be Hermann Einstein. And just as the clone of a genius like Pauline Cook will always be Pauline Cook. But, when these two geniuses come together and have children, the human race can then gain an immortal genius like Albert Einstein. Indeed, a child created out of the mutual love of a male and female human being is, however, the supreme creation. Its significance and greatness are always far more than that of a clone or an indivisible part. Yes, the mutual love of a male and female is a very important thing, and its result is the child. But, the greatest hope from a child? Art. A great work, in other words, the true guarantor of human immortality. Now let's talk about that possibility, whose name itself is currently so difficult that the tongue gets twisted while pronouncing it, when one has to say, Juzawei La Yat Juza, which means indivisible or uncuttable particle. Anyway, there is also a very interesting possibility of our own being coming back to this earth in the concept of an indivisible part. That same invisible part of the human structure, which does not perish even when buried in soil, remains unaffected by water, and does not even get destroyed in fire. Yes, perhaps it is made of hafnium, but it is that tiny particle that cannot even be seen with an electron microscope. It is hidden somewhere in the vertebrae, that indivisible part, the sacred treasure of nature's information. It remains intact in its place. And then, whether my dead body is placed in a tower of silence, buried, burned, or immersed in water, my indivisible part survives, in this very universe. Even today, countless and innumerable indivisible parts of humans exist in our very own galaxy. Now, before the next few billion years, that is, before the end of our galaxy, we have to be able to reconstitute them into complete humans. Otherwise, they will scatter far away into the universe. Anyway, take this sentence as a joke only, but it is a point to ponder that in a few 100,000 or a few million years, genius living humans might become so advanced in this universe that they will not only be able to find the particles scattered across the Milky Way that guarantee a second life, but will also know the formula for their reconstitution. So, in short, to reach this level, creating an environment of maximum research and creativity on Earth is an absolute necessity for the genius Homo genus. But, until the quest to find the grandest genius continues, we will need the human body in such a way that even if we have to find the indivisible part that our elders have mentioned, we will find it. And it can happen. Then, you see, it is certain that life needs information, for which it has also created DNA. So, the life that has been studying this universe for 14 to 15 billion years, it is quite possible that it has already seen an element in this universe that even fire cannot burn. And, when a forest fire burns out, the hafnium carbide lying there remains as it is. It probably takes the core of the sun to turn it into ash. So, it is also possible that in this very universe, where billions of suns wander, there could be a piece of something so extraordinary that even all the suns together cannot destroy it. That strange particle, something made from an unknown form of energy, etc., etc. In short, the life that needs information so much that it has created various bodies equipped with memory and imagination, from amoebas to humans, and various senses in those bodies. Why? For the sake of obtaining information. And what is a sense? An informant of the environment. Life, which needs information so much, is so sensitive about preserving its information that it has created DNA. So, it is not far-fetched that it has also created an indivisible part somewhere. The one who created eyes, a nose, an entire body, the human brain. That greater genius life, which has created a possibility of its own photocopy, clone, in addition to creating a new child in the human body, can indeed do it. That greater genius life, the one that has been studying this universe for billions of years. So, as humans learn more and more ways to preserve their information, life in its universe knows those ways much better. So, it is possible that along with DNA, it has also created another medium that can be used only in extreme situations. Some indivisible part, indeed. Yes, nothing is impossible here. The possibilities of life and the universe seem limitless, especially the possibilities of life. Life had already learned to write somewhere. It just had to choose a particle from the universe that does not easily perish. The particle that easily endures the extreme pressures and temperatures of the universe. Like some particle that dances even during the unimaginable explosion of the Big Bang. Those who endure such pressure and temperature also exist somewhere in this universe. Then, after finding such one suitable particle among them, writing its information on it using a technique far better than nanotechnology is not impossible for life. So, it is possible that the intuition of the elders has guided us correctly on this point, that life has possibly hidden that eternal particle of existence somewhere in the tailbone of every vertebrate, which remains the most comprehensive summary of nature's information. Yes, but for the preservation and transmission of its information, life can do anything in this universe. Like pollen sticks on the bird's feet and reaches the stigma on this very earth. In short, this point related to human immortality was also complete. It had been decided that with some necessary modifications, these few pages would be presented to people and they would read and understand them with the help of the 8. Then, the last important question was, what would be the best way to establish and maintain a genius human home? Considering the benefits of collective life, will the state make the serious decision of pairing humans? Will every human be given a partner of the opposite sex with the same mental or physical strength? The best marrying the best, the average marrying the average, and the ordinary genius pairing with an ordinary genius. However, in this way, the passionate emotion of love, which is a major motivator for humans to accomplish great deeds, will fade and then disappear from the human world. Also, in this way, while the chances of the best giving birth to the best increase, the chances of the ordinary giving birth to the ordinary will also increase. And the majority are ordinary geniuses, followed by average geniuses in a lesser number, and the extremely genius ones remain in the least number at the top of the talent triangle. Anyway, after a long discussion, it was decided that in this matter, the ultimate decision will remain in the hands of the humans themselves. Every human will have the authority to choose an adult partner of their choice for procreation, and influence them enough to agree to establish a home together. Furthermore, in the matter of establishing a home, all other issues will be considered and resolved by the lawmakers. For instance, what options will a person have if their partner dies? What will be the future of couples who want separation? What options will the law provide them after separation? What will happen to the children in such cases? And will a more genius human be allowed to marry more and have more children to produce more copies of their brilliant genes? And what will happen to a person who cannot find their desired partner, or who is particularly dissatisfied with their partner in the bedroom? How can we ensure the mental and physical well-being of such individuals? So, should every couple be provided with a robot from the state immediately after marriage, a male robot for the female and a female one for the male, some such intelligent and full of possibilities robot whose owner will be able to give it the human form they want just by giving commands? Then, which they will be able to change whenever and wherever they want and as much as they want and however they want. And will each partner in the couple be totally allowed to spend one night a week with their beloved robot? Etc. etc. So, a decision was made by the Eight that all such important matters would be regulated and governed by principles and regulations established by the people themselves on this earth. Definitely, these principles will be in the hands of the most genius individuals, namely those 360 legislators. They will have complete authority to create principles and laws according to the new requirements of humanity. So, on this earth, in the normal age or the ice age or the fire age formed by meteors, or while dwelling at some other planet, the 360 legislators will have full authority to change in any of the sub-principles. Only the most fundamental principles will never be altered at all. Everybody knows that the core principles are to ensure the maximum growth of human genius and the safety and health of the human body. Furthermore, it should be clear that the number of legislators in this universe was set at 360 in accordance with the total of all 360 angles present in this universe. This symbolic meaning was that the most genius persons of humanity in this universe now look after their unique kind from every angle. In short, besides understanding the possible best answers to those 5 important questions, many other minor issues were also resolved through mutual discussions. One of the important points was that the 360 geniuses who will be responsible for running the world system, they will all be equal or they will have one supreme leader. Furthermore, it was considered by the Eight that during the time of Newton, after him, rest of the 359 most genius scientists, even if they had worked together, were never able to immediately provide a theory of gravity which played an important role in the evolution of human genius. However, such an important secret of nature, which had to be revealed to the brightest mind, was only with Sir Isaac Newton. In fact, while trying to create the best of every kind, one organism gets created by life so good that in its time it becomes much better than all the other organisms like it. Moreover, the 8 geniuses thought there should be a supreme level of the supreme class as well, so that there is still a possibility for the individual to prove that they are the best form of their kind in their time. The urge to move forward should never decrease in human beings. Therefore, the opportunity to move forward should also be constantly present. Thus a supreme leader also does have the stimulus and opportunity to do greater deeds than their predecessors did. But, if everyone becomes equal in the supreme class, then what will be the ideal in front of its members? So, the 8 agreed on this point as well. Then, there was another important point before them. They were thinking, we will continue to present the ideas of the greatest geniuses as the heavenly ideas. Will it not be the worst injustice to all those greatest humans? So, it was decided that when the idea of any greatest genius human is taught to the human race, it will be said that this point is sent by Sir Francis Bacon, a sublime soul in the heavens. And this point is specially sent to the human world by Madame Hypatia present in the heavens. Thus the name of every outstanding genius human will always shine in the human world. Well, then it happened that the bright evening came at last. The 60 million scattered humans set out on the path of becoming a single genius human world. And, just after 2 centuries passed, thousands of cities began to appear on Earth, one better than another, and the average human age reached 200 years and the human population became more than 800 million, then it was taught by the sky. Now every couple can produce only 2 children until another compatible planet like Earth will be found. When another friendly planet is found, their children will be born more and more so that the most genius being of the world can grow up as much as possible in the universe, planet after planet and then galaxy after galaxy. And then it happened that now, from childhood, humans who studied literature, science, mathematics, and philosophy in educational institutions had reached the same point in just the next 2 centuries that humans had reached after thousands of years of struggle by the 21st century AD. However, 5,000 years ago, in that newly forming genius world, humans were timely made to understand from the heavens that they had to make use of their growing knowledge with much more thought and consideration. They should never create an AI or anything similar that could eventually become hostile towards the most genius beings themselves. AI and such technologies could be given the passion and ability to discover the hidden secrets of life and the universe, but never the power or authority to decide independently to harm any living being. In summary, humanity had become highly intelligent about 5,000 years ago. The 8 had completed their task. Forever, to make the human world a genius place, 2 essential matters had been accomplished. The 2 most troubling issues of the human world had been resolved. These issues were that the human mind's concept of the Creator was very small, and that the geniuses in the human world were not united. In short, after gaining consciousness in this universe, humans were most influenced by the greatest genius, the Creator of all, and the concept of the Creator had become far much better than before. God now sought excellence from humans in research and creation rather than in obedience. Humanity's idea of God had become much grander than before. Consequently, humanity itself began to grow in greatness automatically. This was the great work that, if not done, humanity would never have become great. Moreover, the second most significant achievement was that the best humans had united. Those who understood the virtues and issues of their genius kind better than anyone else had gathered together to become the brightest human mind. Then, in the 25th century AD, the human world was devastated by AI only because the geniuses remained separate. All the machines and weapons, etc., were made by those geniuses because only they could create them. However, the tragic calamity was that everything designed to enhance human power was made by the most brilliant individuals and handed over to those much less genius than themselves, who, due to their lesser wisdom and insight, used these great creations to suppress the rest of their whole genius kind except their own generation, nation, etc. Making matter worse to worst, with these power-enhancing things, every ruler, apart from themselves, their family, and their powerful supporters, used to suppress the rest of their own entire nation as well. Thus, the human world remained oppressed. Battles and wars were constantly going on somewhere in the crazy world. However, the genius human world created 5,000 years ago was free from wars and engrossed in deep and sublime research, creation, and universal love. Yes. Those 8 geniuses had completed their work brilliantly, for which they had to make a great sacrifice. In fact, those 8 were 4 pairs. Each pair was deeply in love and wanted to have children together. The sculptor boy and the philosopher girl loved each other. The musician girl and the mathematician boy were a pair. The painter girl and the poet boy were a couple, and the scientist girl and the fictionist boy loved each other. However, they understood that if they had children with their beloveds, not only would they feel an urge to keep their children distinguished from other human children, but other humans would also never see the children born in heavenly pairs' homes as normal human children and would always unjustly respect them. This would unnecessarily create 2 permanent categories on the same earth, heavenly humans and earthlings. Then, their children would only marry each other, and by leveraging their heavenly powers, even the relatively less genius children born in their homes would continue to be placed in legislative positions, and the genius human species would once again begin to deteriorate. In short, they decided, with a heavy heart, to choose their life partners from the rest of the world and to explain to people that their children would now be just like other human children and would be entitled to the same facilities as all other genius human children. They would have to prove themselves to reach high positions, as their birthright would not be any greater just because they were offspring of the heavenly ones only. Obviously, one of their parents is earthling. So, one significant benefit of this, the 8th thought, would be that our dear children would not have to live an artificial life like ours for a single moment. They would live a full natural life and then peacefully enjoy death after completing their natural lifespan. The 8 smiled. By making ourselves heavenly, we remained somewhat distant from other humans and made death forbidden for ourselves, for we are heavenly ones. And heavenly ones are immortal and can never die." Their eyes filled with tears. Then, when the time came for any of those 8 to depart from the world, they would reach their island and take their last breaths there. And, upon leaving the world, they would say in their final words that their duty had been fulfilled, and now their call from the heavens had come. So, the next meeting would be in the heavens. In this manner, 7 left one by one. The last one was also about to leave, but was now entirely content. The human world had become entirely genius. And this genius was rapidly growing even more. Anyway, one day, the 8th also departed from this world and reached their island. It was not that the island was still hidden from the eyes of the now very modern humans. However, no one except the lawmakers was allowed to go there. And even the lawmakers were not permitted to enter a specific part of that island, a restriction everyone respected. They had to follow this restriction for another 1100 years. Then, it was instructed that after the specified period, the lawmakers would be authorized to enter the forbidden part. They would find an octagonal building there with 8 rooms, each containing a closed coffin-like machine. In one machine, a small drawer would contain a big book that they would open carefully and read with full attention. The book was actually a diary, in which those 8 had truthfully narrated their entire story through the pen of their one companion, the prose writer, and had also provided instructions related to the future, which required deep contemplation before implementation, as they were merely human thoughts and analyses, which could potentially be proven wrong. Nevertheless, the 8 believed that by then, humans would have become so enlightened in the universe that they would be capable of understanding every bit of their writings and would be able to endure the great sorrows of their cosmic loneliness and mortality with complete peace. Let it be clear, this was the same island where the rulers were once brought in flying saucers and who had lived their natural lives very excellently and had passed away within a century after that first bright evening. Their genius offspring blended into the rest of the human world, eager to accomplish feats like all other genius humans and striving to reach legislative positions. They also lived happy lives. In short, the genius human world was advancing rapidly. Well, the story is not over yet, for that world continues to progress. It is heard that in just 100 or 200 million or perhaps 1 billion years, humans will have reached a point where they can transform all known living beings from fighters to students of nature. Other living beings, when capable of communicating with humans through machines, will have a great friend and find their nutritional needs entirely managed by the most genius living being, human. Humans will address each living being through its own means of communication. Once humans will have colonized a massive planet full of machines only that will operate day and night to provide food for other beings and deliver it via drones, then every living being will forget to fight furiously, for at its core, every living being is a genius. With just a little more intelligence and a favorable environment, even today, an elephant can be seen holding a brush in its trunk, painting on a canvas. Moreover, there are significant proofs of the genius of other living beings as well. Everyone knows that humans have conceptualized a divine being who grants them eternal life after death. This concept has existed in human culture with intensity and clarity for thousands of years, since the time humans learned to write. Thus, today, using some sign language, if we were to ask those highly intelligent animals like chimpanzees or gorillas, who grow up among humans and understand some of their communication, where they go after death, they also would likely mention some sort of paradise, saying they go to rest there forever. Undoubtedly, any living being that cherishes the idea of its immortality is truly a genius. In short, when living beings no longer have to worry about acquiring food and when they follow the instructions of their human benefactor regarding reproduction, they will forget all conflicts, as there will no longer be a need to fight. Consequently, every living being will contribute to the deep study of the universe's principles according to its own capacity. Every living being will then be seen gathering all possible information about its environment and providing it to the machines designed by humans. And while engaging in such meaningful work, every living being will appear happy and content, for every creature is alive, and the greatest joy in life lies in work. After all, the grand purpose of life in this universe is the profound study of the laws of the cosmos. Verily, life does have one major task: to study the laws of the universe deeply and completely. Here this novella ends, he said, and closed the booklet in his hands. He then began to look at me. He was telling me a story. Sometimes I used to sit with him. He was a resident of Fountain House. Both of us would often meet briefly. I belonged to the ordinary level of staff there. I had become friend with him. I was very interested in literature, and he was a storyteller at some point. He continued to write stories even today, which hardly anyone listened to except me. But maybe only 2 ears of just one being were enough to stimulate his creative power. He kept on writing. Every time I heard his latest writing, I used to praise him out of courtesy. Hearing that, he would silently shake his head and smile politely. The same thing happened today. After the office time, I stopped there. My wife had gone to her parents' home, and along with her, our children had also reached there, swinging happily. I had many moments of leisure. So, I sat next to him out there on the open lawn and listened to his fresh story, and then I gave him my usual smile and applause, and as always, he smiled back. Then I got up and came home. I sat down on the couch and turned on the TV, and a news channel came in front of me. News was being broadcast. It was breaking news. Some country had attacked some other country.